I want to turn now to Alexis McGill-Johnson, the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood. Hi, Alexis. So a lot of new reporting from the White House that they're going to try to do things about medication abortions, about interstate travel, supporting women who have to travel as much as 1,000 miles. But there are limits, and the courts may also step in state by state. Where are your battles?
Well, look, I mean, we are greatly appreciative of the White House and the administration doing as much as they can in every agency to be as creative as possible to get people the care they need and get people to care. We have seen such extreme laws being introduced in states like Missouri and Louisiana, criminalizing not just telemedication abortion, but also things like contraception, IUDs, perhaps IVF, and that idea that you couldn't travel across your own state boundary is just such a bizarre construct, right? It just obviously harkens back to slavery. So we are incredibly concerned about what might happen, and to have the White House and the administration thinking about all of the ways to get care to people is so important.
Let's talk about some of these trigger laws that have already made it impossible for women in Mississippi. We've seen a provider close down in Louisiana. The last remaining provider, of course, in Mississippi, which was the key to the Dobbs case, shutting down. Some are being held up, but at least 10 states have already made it illegal. And you've got these old laws that are kicking in as well.
Yeah, and look, I mean, clearly we lost hope in the courts on Friday, if not before, and we have to have hope in the people, right? That we will continue to fight state by state through litigation, through some of these trigger laws, through proactive legislation, through ballot initiatives. This is now about direct democracy in each state that is actively trying to overturn our right to abortion in those states. That's essentially when you lose the federal protection of the Constitution, you have to fight your way back in state by state, and that is what our intent is, to make sure that no one can stay neutral on this. No politician, no corporation, everyone has to weigh in here, because we believe, as you just demonstrated, the majority of people support having access to abortion being the law of the land, certainly the law in their states, and we're going to fight to make that the case.
And in fact, a new NPR Marist poll as well, NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll, I should point out, finds that 56% of Americans oppose the decision. So that support for abortion rights writ large, now with a lot of gradations when you start going deep into the poll as to what kind of questions. But it is a majority view. With the court now, a supermajority on the court. Now, disregarding the politics, because the language in the Alito decision is very explicit and does not even, tip its hat to public opinion or to, precedent.
Well, what's interesting about the polling data as well is, and the question I keep asking is how are these laws that are being introduced in the states going to be enforced, right? You're essentially criminalizing the process of supporting people getting access to care. Corporations, as you just heard, are having to think about whether or not they can add these benefits and travel policies for their workforce. And so when I think about, what I've seen in the data, the majority of Americans, upwards of 80% of people, they don't like the bounty hunter provision. They don't like the arresting the patient or provider or people who are providing care. Those are the ways in which, I think lawmakers are going to have to see that not only will people demand to have this right in state, but also are going to resist any efforts to criminalize and further invade their privacy around these decisions. I mean, like, what are you going to do in Missouri? Do you have to take a pregnancy test before you leave the state and come back? I mean, it's just kind of outrageous, the ways in which the actual surveillance and criminalization is going to be experienced. And of course, we know it'll be experienced disproportionately by people who are already living at the margins. And that is just unconscionable.
Alexis McGill-Johnson, thanks very much for coming on today.